You're probably doing crochet wrong before you even start. And I don't mean that to be harsh. I mean, there are a few mistakes that almost every single beginner makes right at the beginning that make everything harder than it needs to be. And once you know what they are, everything starts to make sense. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to actually start crocheting the right way, what to buy, how to hold everything, which stitches to learn first, and how to finish your very first project without wanting to throw your yarn out the window. If you've been putting off learning crochet because it looks complicated, stick around, because by the end of this, you'll see it's really not. Let's talk about the first mistake beginners make, and it happens before they even pick up a hook. They buy the wrong supplies. You walk into a craft store and there's an entire wall of yarn in every color and texture you can imagine. Chunky yarn, thin yarn, fuzzy yarn, yarn with little sparkles in it. It's a lot. And most beginners either grab whatever looks pretty or they buy a full beginner kit that comes with hooks they don't actually need yet. Here's what you really need to start. 1 ball of medium weight yarn, which you'll see labeled as worsted weight or with a little number 4 on the packaging, and 1 crochet hook, either 5mm or 5.5mm. That's it, 2 things. The yarn label will usually tell you the recommended hook size on the back, so just match them up. One more thing about the yarn, pick a light color, white, cream, beige, light yellow, anything pale and plain. Not because light colors are prettier, but because when you're learning, you need to actually see your stitches. Dark yarn hides everything, and you'll spend half your time squinting trying to figure out where to put your hook. Now let's get into holding the hook, because this is the part that feels the most unnatural at first, and it's why a lot of beginners feel clumsy and give up too soon. There's no single correct way to hold a crochet hook, but there are 2 main grips that most people use. The pencil grip, where you hold the hook like a pencil between your thumb and index finger, and the knife grip, where your hand wraps over the top of the hook, like you're holding a butter knife. Try both. See which one lets your hand stay relaxed. If your hand gets tense or tired quickly, switch to the other one. Your other hand is in charge of the yarn. Drape the yarn over your index finger and use your thumb and middle finger to lightly pinch the piece you're working on. This controls your tension, meaning how tight or loose the yarn pulls as you make each stitch. Tension is something beginners stress about a lot. But here's the truth, your tension is going to be inconsistent at first, and that is fine. It corrects itself over time without you even trying. Just keep going. Before you can make any stitch, you need a slip knot on your hook. Make a loop with your yarn, pull a second loop up through the first one, slide your hook into that second loop and pull the tail end to tighten it around the hook. It should sit snug but still be able to slide along the hook. That's your slip knot done. Next is the chain stitch, and this one is everything. Almost every crochet project starts with a chain. With your slip knot on the hook, wrap the yarn over the hook from back to front. That's called a yarn over. Now, pull that wrapped yarn through the loop on your hook. 1 chain stitch. Do it again. Yarn over, pull through. Another chain. Keep going until you have about 20 chains in a row. When you look at your chain, it should look like a little braid. Each chain has a V shape on top. If yours look uneven, some tight and some loose, that's normal. Just keep practicing the chain until the V shapes start looking more consistent. Make 10 chains, then 20, then start over and do it again. Now for the single crochet, which is the first real stitch and the one that you'll use constantly. Take your chain of 20 stitches, skip the very first chain right next to your hook, and push your hook into the second chain from the hook. You'll see 2 loops sitting on top of that chain like a little V. Push your hook under both of them. Yarn over and pull up a loop. Now you have 2 loops sitting on your hook. Yarn over 1 more time and pull through both loops. 1 single crochet done. Move to the next chain and do the same thing. Insert hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through both. Work all the way to the end of your chain. When you finish the row, make 1 chain stitch, turn your whole piece around and go back the other direction. That 1 chain you made before turning is called a turning chain, and it gives your work the height it needs to go into the next row. Keep doing rows of single crochet until you have a small flat square. This is your practice swatch, and it matters more than people realize. Every row you do is training your hands. The awkward feeling goes away faster than you think. Once your square starts looking somewhat even, you're ready for your first real project. Make a dishcloth. It's nothing more than a square of single crochet, and when you're done, you actually have something useful. That moment of finishing something real, even something small, changes how you feel about the whole thing. Nobody finds crochet easy in the first session, but the people who keep picking it up every day, even just for 10 minutes, are the ones who suddenly, one day, realize it clicks. And once it clicks, it never goes away. Watch the next video to see what project you should make after your dishcloth.
Near the hallway, visitors began asking, "Where did you buy this?" And she smiled every time. "I made it." That pride is another value of flower crochet. Self-confidence. When you create something from scratch, you realize your hands are capable of beauty. Now let's talk about techniques that bring crochet flowers to life. Layering is one of the most stunning techniques. Instead of one row of petals, you create multiple rounds. The bottom layer may have larger petals, and the top layer smaller ones. This creates fullness and depth. Texture is another element. You can use puff stitches or popcorn stitches to make raised centers. These textured stitches create dimension, making the flower look realistic and touchable. Edging also enhances beauty. A contrasting color around petal edges can define shape and add elegance. Blocking is an important finishing step. Blocking means lightly shaping your finished flower and allowing it to dry in the desired form. This helps petals lay correctly and look polished. Details matter. Even a simple crochet flower becomes extraordinary when attention is given to small finishing touches. Flower crochet is also incredibly versatile. You can use crochet flowers for hair clips and headbands, brooches, baby blankets, wall art, table decor, gift wrapping decorations, wedding accessories, scrapbook embellishments, curtain tiebacks, and handmade cards. The possibilities are endless. And because flowers are generally small projects, they are perfect for beginners who want quick results. Completing a flower in under an hour gives you motivation to keep going. Lila started gifting her crochet flowers. She made a bouquet for her friend's birthday. Instead of fresh flowers that would fade, she created a bouquet of yarn roses tied with ribbon. Her friend held them gently and said, "These will never die." And that's another beautiful value: longevity. Crochet flowers do not wilt. They do not lose color quickly. They remain as memories. Crochet flowers also teach resourcefulness. Small yarn scraps that might otherwise be wasted can become tiny blossoms. It encourages creativity with what you already have. For beginners who want to start flower crochet, here are practical steps. Start with a simple 5-petal pattern. Use medium weight yarn for easier control. Practice even tension. Count stitches carefully in each round. Watch the shape as it forms. Adjust if needed. Finish neatly by weaving in ends securely. Do not rush the petals. Let them form naturally. If your flower curls too much, your stitches may be too tight. If it feels floppy, your tension may be too loose. Adjust gradually. As you grow more comfortable, challenge yourself with different flower types: layered roses, sunflowers with textured centers, lotus-inspired blooms, tiny forget-me-nots, 3-dimensional carnations. Each new flower introduces new stitch combinations. But beyond technique, flower crochet carries emotional depth. Flowers symbolize love, remembrance, celebration, hope. When you crochet a flower for someone, you are giving more than yarn. You are giving time, intention, and care. Lila eventually created a memory wall in her grandmother's house. Each crochet flower represented a memory, one for her childhood, one for her graduation, one for her grandmother's favorite season. The wall became a quiet tribute. Sometimes she would sit beneath it and crochet new flowers, feeling connected to both past and present. And that's something powerful about handmade art. It connects generations. Many cultures around